I still remember the first time my parents dropped me off for the first time in college. It was a new city in New Jersey. They had just dropped me off my freshman year in the dorm. I was so excited. I was elated. It was going to be my first time away from home with all the freedom and just the space to find myself. But the moment they left and I sat in my dorm room, maybe after a week, I was like, how did we get here? I had so many questions. How do I buy groceries? Why the heck are groceries so expensive? Why is a bed frame so expensive? Like, I had all these questions that I had no answers to, but it does get better. I'm here. I've now moved 3 times. I'm in a completely different country than I was in when I first moved. So it does get better. And so if you're about to move out of the home, especially if you're an international student, here's a few things that I wish someone told me before I started this whole journey. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed. If you're new here, which you probably are, my name is Issy. Basically, I just talk about everything I've been going through and the lessons I've been learning on this journey to finding who I am and really living my life the most authentic version of myself. So I hope you stick around and I hope you enjoy. First off, I look dry because I just took a shower and I need to get my skincare on. So the first time I moved out of the home was to go to college, and I ended up going to a school in New Jersey. It's called St. Hall, and I was there for 4 years. I don't know if no one knows where New Jersey is. It is on the East Coast. It's super close. It's right next to New York City in the US. It has the regular Western season, so at least the East Coast seasons. So it's summertime and then it's winter time. And when I think back on my experience, very fulfilling. I loved it, but there were just so many things that I think I struggled with, from my accent to just figuring out how to exist in this new place that I didn't know. I didn't have my childhood friends. I didn't have a lot of family. It was very daunting. I struggled with the winter blues big time. The moment winter came up, I struggled. For the first time, I figured out what like mental illness was. And I'm not saying I didn't have any struggles while I was at home, but I feel like there's some sort of sheltering that you have when you're in your family home and you don't have to do a lot of things. You don't have to do a lot of things by yourself. So I ended up having to go to therapy many times. I would isolate myself in my room because I just did not want to wake up. Like, that's how bad the winter blues was. And what else? I mean, I wouldn't say I didn't know how to cook, but I had never really cooked for myself. And so I had to focus on learning how to put nutrients in my body because I was living on American snacks. I had I spent all my card currency on the vending machine. Gives me nightmares when I think about it. I picked up smoking. I got out of the house and I was like, I'm a big girl now. I can pick up whatever I want. So I picked up smoking, of all things to pick up. I started smoking cigarettes, which was ridiculous because I couldn't even buy a pack of cigarettes at 18. I had to get people to buy it for me. What else? I had to make really big life decisions that I just felt like I did not have the experience to make. I was making decisions about my degree. I was making decisions about what jobs to take, what internships to apply for. It was insane. I try to think about things I struggled with. Just being away from home. I grew up in a very open family where our room doors were open so anyone could walk in and just keep you company. I grew up with my cousins too, and so it was always a big household, and it was just such a different beast hearing silence. It was ridiculous. I would sit in my room sometimes and it would just be me. If I wasn't playing music or watching a show, my ears will just be ringing because it was so quiet and it was so lonely. Luckily, I was able to call my mom, like my family, every day. So we talked every day, but it felt different because one, I couldn't really be with them in person. The time difference was also a thing. So when they were in bed, I was still awake, and those will usually be the times that I'm not with friends and I have all this time to myself. I would stay up late. Gosh, my health, there was a lot. I can keep going on and on and on about how many aspects of that experience was a struggle, but I really want to be able to share some of the things that I learned. These are some of the things that I wish someone told me before I left, just so it made the experience a little easier. The number one thing that I would tell anyone, absolutely anyone, if you're an international student, the chances that you are moving to a different country with drastically different culture cultural values and standards pretty high. So for my case, I'm Nigerian, so I was moving from Nigeria to the US. There are very, very different cultural norms, and one of the biggest cultural norms that I had to sort of navigate was my mental health. Talk about that. The first thing I have to say is take care of your mental health. That is the first thing I want to say. So like I said, chances that you are moving from a country that has a drastically different cultural standard values and norms as the country you're moving to is probably very high. So in my case, I'm Nigerian, so I moved from Nigeria to the US, and so the topic of mental health was just very new to me. Now, obviously, mental health was never out of the question, but it wasn't on the forefront. And so, and even if I felt bad or annoyed, or I feel like I had, my mental health wasn't quite there, I think I had family to sort of fill in the gap. Yeah, we may not necessarily talk about everything as a family, but I also had friends too that I could kiki with and talk about stuff with. So from going there to going to a completely new country where you're still making friends, if you're fortunate enough, you're in a program that gives you friends, but if you're not, you're still navigating a lot of life alone and going through some really, really big emotional changes, loneliness, cultural shock. Those are really, really big things. And I had to seek other means of talking about this, because even if I called my mom on the phone and I shared all these things with her, that's great. The most she can say was, my baby girl, I'm so sorry you're going through this. We're here. God is with you. You're going to be fine. That's the most she can say. She's not experiencing it with me or experiencing the day-to-day nuances of now. I was 18, by the way. Was 18. And so my mental health really took a deep dive. I would spend days not going to class because one, it was too damn cold, and two, I just couldn't bring myself to doing it. I didn't have the friends. I had friends, but I didn't think that I could open up about the things that I was going through with them at the moment that I moved. And so my mental health really, I would recommend, most universities have a counseling service on campus. Use it. There's a high chance that back home there was some sort of negative understanding, or what's the word I'm looking for? Therapy has a negative reputation from a lot of our cultures, especially in the context of African cultures. And I'm sure it could be very similar to anyone with like a Hispanic background or an Indian background. It is very, very taboo to bring the word therapy into the discussion. And so I understand, I get it, and I feel you. I had the same experience, but I think for the sake of your survival, it is important to make use of those services. It is not as scary as we were told it was. It's literally just talking to a stranger who has no connection to you whatsoever, is also bound by legal contracts to not share anything that was discussed with them, unless you are going to harm yourself. But other than that, really, it's very important to talk to someone. And your first therapist is probably not going to be the best. You're going to have to try a couple, but use it. And if it's just going there once every 2 months, do it. I think it's very important to just be able to talk about what you're going through and have someone else hear it and validate the big, big things. I would tell you a lot of times when I was going to these therapy sessions, I'd be like, yeah, I'm feeling this way. And they're like, of course you're feeling this way. When I was 18, I could not imagine moving from a completely different city, talk less of a country with a different time zone. So it was very validating to know that I wasn't the problem. I wasn't going through these things because I was the problem or I didn't have the resources. It was just normal, and it was the right thing to do. And also another way of taking care of your mental health, apart from going to therapy, exercise. Exercise. I swear it makes a difference. I never did. I would rot in bed. I would not even go on a walk. I would not even get out my bed and like do some jumping jacks or squat in the room. I literally would just rot. I would eat so much junk. I would drink a lot, because that's also another thing. You can now drink when you're outside of your home. So wine nights were every night, and I added the freshman 50. I won't even say freshman 15. The freshman 50 is a real thing. Just not exercising, not eating well, not prioritizing this. And also I didn't consider myself, I was a Christian by birth, like family, but I didn't have any sort of faith to hold on to. So I was just swimming. I was swimming in the dark ocean trying to find the next island to jump on. Prioritize your mental health. Go to therapy, eat well, exercise. And if you have a faith to hold on to it. Prioritize it every day. Even if it's just reading a verse, like in my case, the Bible, if it's just reading a verse of the Bible every morning, it'll go a long way, I promise. Because you feel journal. Yeah, so even if with people who have some sort of religion or spirituality, journal, write in a damn journal. Sometimes you don't understand what you're going through until you write it down. So speak to someone, journal about it, exercise, eat well. You have to take care of your mental health, especially in the wintertime. Friendships and loneliness. Friendships. Whew, if someone told me that being lonely is a thing that you cannot avoid, maybe there are many things that I would not. It can be so lonely. Whew, I know I've been saying it throughout the video. It can be so lonely, but you're gonna be fine. I think the biggest thing that I got into a program in university that was kind of like an honors program, and so we would do classes together, we would go for events together and just have kind of team building experiences. So that was very nice. I was lucky in that sense that I had friends early on. I must admit, I had friends early on, which was amazing, and I miss them till this day. I don't get to see them a lot because I'm in a whole different country, but I do miss them. I'm grateful for the friends I had. But for those who don't have the luxury of being in like an intimate small program, join clubs. There are a lot of things that you were probably doing at home in high school that you can find on campus. A chess club, a photography club. I was in a photography club when I took a photography class. But what clubs was I in? Can't remember now. But join clubs. There's so many clubs on campus. In many universities, the first few months are pretty much activities on campus for people to do things. Go. You're probably going to feel you're gonna feel like you don't want to because you're used to having people around and doing things with other people. Go alone, roam around, take a bag, a book, and your phone and roam around. Do it alone. You're gonna have people who may walk up to you. You're going to have club members go to the club, the booths, and like get more information. Because what's gonna happen is you're gonna get into all these clubs, or you're gonna have people who are also lonely and they see another lonely person and they're probably more likely to want to engage with you. And everyone sort of understands that it's everyone's first time being here alone, whether they lived at home or they are living at home, or they have family in the country, whatever it is, everyone has this openness to making new friends. So do it. And your friends will change, but at least for the first, while you're navigating a new experience, you will have friends. It's gonna be lonely. Embrace it. No, like now, if he's telling you that it's going to be lonely, that way when you go on your first day on campus or in a new city or in your new apartment or in a new job, you're gonna be like, I watched a video where Issy told me that it will be lonely. So how about we just take that out of the way? I know I'm expecting it. What can I do to change things? Make new friends, go to clubs. And then eventually, the more you understand the culture and where to find the specific people that you're drawn to, it would not be a problem. Should we move? Okay, maybe I'll do a third one and then you can come with me to go. What do I do next? Maybe we can just sit down. How about that? We sit down and have a chit chat. Because I was supposed to go wash my makeup brushes while I put on my sunscreen. The third thing that I wanted to share that I wish someone told me before I moved out of the home: balancing school and life. Balancing school and life is a tricky spot to navigate. I am not even gonna lie. Most of the time, people are moving for school. So you have a reason for why. Yeah. Whether it's master's or whether it's undergrad, you're going in for school. I don't even know what to say with this. School can be hard, okay? University, it can be hard. Not only can it be hard because you're coming from a completely different system of schooling, it can be hard because there is just so much to do. Whether it's homework, group work, exams, tests, quizzes, sometimes an internship gets thrown in the mix. It is a and then while you're doing that, guess what? Maybe you're making friends. You're being invited to things. Maybe you join a sorority. You have a sorority event to go to. You have a sorority party to go to. You're interested in that. You have parties with friends that you want to go to. You want to be able to make friends, but also survive in school and get good grades and get an education. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's hard. I was burnt out many times. I was burnt out. most of the time. What do you mean? Like, there would be days that I would just not do I would not do study for quizzes or exams because I had to think about the opportunity cost. I'm like, what can I let go of right now? Okay, I'm at a solid B plus. If I miss this exam or I don't study for this exam, maybe I do 5 out of 10 questions and I get it right. What's that gonna get me? I literally had to make those type of math. Or I'm like, okay, well, if I go out, I'm gonna be out till 3 in the morning and I have an exam tomorrow. Is it worth it? It was just, I had to make decisions like that. And you have to find that sweet spot early on. You really do. I can't even tell. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you this is how to find that sweet spot. Maybe I'll make a video on how to do it. But for right now, it took a lot of trial and error to figure out what was the best mix of party versus school that I had to do. And you're gonna have to navigate that. Now, some people have it different than others. I went to a business school. If you're a nursing student, your scale is gonna be a little wonky because that is a very, very demanding degree. Mine, I could get away with a couple things, some things I didn't need to study for and I would go in and ace it. As early as you can, figure out what that good balance of nourishing your life and nourishing your responsibility. Another thing is boundaries. I like talking about this one. Boundaries. Now, my mom might be watching this. Sorry, Mom. Don't worry, we can talk about it. But there will come a time going to have to speak up for yourself, and in a very respectful way. You're going to have to speak up for yourself and push back a little bit when it comes to your family back home and your friends back home. You are the one living this life. You are the one who is abroad, going to school and going through this change. There are some no's that you're gonna have to say, and it could look different for anyone. I remember saying a lot of no's about my choice of degree, like my choice of concentration, like my major in college. I started off as an econ major and I went to my first econ class and I hated it. And I was like, Mom, it's not gonna happen. And I remember we had a little tiff on the phone, over the phone, imagine, on the phone. She was like, what do you mean? And you better not. And at the end of the day, what could she do? I changed it. And here I am. And she's proud of me and I'm a success. And it's also, you can't just say, oh, I want to change stuff and not have a plan too, right? Because they are your family and they are going to protect you and they want the best for you. And in many cases, they're probably also paying for your degree. So if you're going to be bold enough to say no, which you should be, have a plan set, make them feel comfortable about the decision that you want to make. Don't just show up and like, yeah, I don't want to go to school anymore. Come again? No, you're going to be like, I don't think I want to do this degree anymore because I don't find it fulfilling. However, I find this other thing fulfilling and I think that I will be very, very good at it. And assure them that you will continue to get your good grades and things will be okay. But you need to set boundaries. There were some times that the time zone thing played into effect and my mom would want to talk to me, but I did not have the time. I was either studying or I was at an event and I'll be like, Mom, I'll have to call you tomorrow, or I may not call you today. Or what I'll do is I'll wake up really early and give her a call just so I talk to her once that day. But just understand that you might have a couple demands from family and friends who are not experiencing this journey with you, and the only person you need to protect is yourself. So I don't know, start taking master classes on how to draw boundaries, because then everyone's gonna be happy at the end. When you call, they're gonna have a better version of you because you'll be excited to talk to them, and you'd have the time to share your whole day, share yourself with them. But if you're tired and you're picking up the phone and picking up a call and trying to help someone do, Mom, are you catching the sub? But if someone's calling you and being like, hey, I don't know how to do this, be like, I can't really help you right now. Mom, I love you so much. Or Dad, I love you so much. I can't help you right now. I'm actually about to walk into an exam, or I'm actually about to start studying for a test. Can I call you back in like 2 hours and then I can help you? Just things like that. So keep your life balance between work and life. Play hard, but also work really hard. Figure out what that sweet spot is for you in whatever degree you're studying. And also figure out how to draw boundaries. They're going to be very, very helpful. And they're also not going to be helpful, not only for your family, they're going to be so helpful for the friends you make, for the life you're about to start living and making for yourself, because you're going to start navigating new experiences with new people. It is very important that that situation figures itself out, and off the get-go, people know what can go with you and what cannot. Very important. if you never had a job of any sorts, just understand that money is something that you are going to have to navigate and navigate well. There are people who are fortunate to have their tuition paid, so all they have to focus on is getting an allowance and making sure that allowance goes a long way. And then there's some people who are also paying their tuition and paying for their living expenses. Either way, for those two parties, budgeting is so important. It is incredible. It's probably the only important thing. Okay, I'm lying. It's not the only important thing, but it is very important. Budgeting, not overspending, figuring out what activities to do, because there's no point if you have $70 in your account. Why are you spending $65 at dinner with friends and it's the middle of the month? Like, how does that make sense? Now you only have $5 left. Yes, you live on campus and you have a cafeteria, and so your meal plan is already paid for. But still, having $5 till the end of the month, I know what that did to me. It made me so depressed, because then you can't do anything after that. And trust me, being on your own, there are bills. They are bills to pay. There are, I don't know, every time you breathe, I found that every time I went outside, it cost me $5. So at some point I thought I was paying to breathe air, because it was just, everything just felt expensive. And if you're not managing your money properly, knowing exactly what it's going to, because then again, you at this point, you live alone. No one's going to sit there and tell you no. So if you give into every Uber Eats decision urge that you have, or every eating out urge that you get, or I don't know, drinking a little too much, because I racked up a couple coins just buying wines. I would go into a cheeky liquor store and be like, oh, I want a wine night today. And it turned out it was almost every day. So just budgeting and knowing exactly where your money's going to. I did not budget for a very long time. I don't even think I started budgeting until 2 years ago, which is, I've been away from home for almost 8 years now. Learn how to do it as early as you can. It will go a long way. It will help you survive a lot longer. You wouldn't have to eat ramen, like $1 noodles. You would be eating good food. And so budget, figure out how much, if you're getting an allowance or you have a job, figure out how much you need for groceries, and how much you need for rent, and how much you need for your phone bill. Oh my God, phone bills. Jeez, I can go on and on. So maybe if this video feels a little too long, so if you guys watch this and you feel like there are more topics that you want to hear me talk about, let me know, because I can go into some details about stuff. Budget, figure out what rent is, figure out what your phone bill is, figure out what your utility, and utility means how much your power costs, how much water you're using. You have to pay for that. You have to pay for water that you use to shower. I don't make the rules. That's literally no one told me that. No one told me. And it's not like I'm this, and I want to preface this. I could be talking to the princess or the prince who had everything done for them at home. I'm talking to you, but I'm also talking to the person who felt like they were in touch when they lived at home, but things are just so different. Like, I felt like I was in touch, but I didn't know. I don't think we ever had a separate, we didn't have to pay rent every month. You paid rent per year or per 2 years. But here you pay rent every month. You know what I mean? So it's little things like that. Knowing that there's going to be an adjustment in that area when you move, but being prepared on how to navigate that. So budgeting is really going to help when it comes to that. Yeah, no one's going to tell you no. So you have to learn how to tell yourself no. I love topicals. This is the Topical Slick Salve in the acai berry. Or it's just called acai. Anyway, whatever. And then the last point I have is there's going to be a lot of things that you do not know when it comes to your immigration status, when it comes to finding a job, getting a driver's license, for figuring out how to rent an apartment for the first time. It's going to feel completely out of your control. I know I've been saying all these things about, gaining more control and budgeting and being a little more like taking things into your own hands and making things happen. But I think this is a perfect way to round it up by saying that there's also going to be an incredible amount of things in your life or in this journey that you're going to take that is completely unknown. It's going to be hard to predict, and you have to stay calm. That's number one, and do your research. I developed an intense anxiety problem because I wanted to control everything, and I wanted to control the things that I had no control over. And so I was always anxious. I was always thinking about the next thing because I wanted to feel prepared. And it took away from being in the moment. There's so many memories of college or moving that I don't really remember because I was always in panic mode. I was always in survival mode. And rightfully so, right? I'm navigating this whole new experience. But I wish that someone was like, girl, chill, relax. I know you got on this fast moving train of starting a new journey in a new country, but chill, take it easy. It's going to be fine. I wish someone told me that. And so the only way you can create some level of control within the unknown is always stay calm and collected. Do not do things out of fear. Do not be afraid when you do things, when you make decisions, because especially as an international student, you could be on your way home. I'm just gonna be honest. Any slight mistake, unfortunately, you might have to get a ticket back home. And let's say you're not an international student. You will make mistakes. And if you make judgment and you make decisions out of fear, you might have to go back home. Or you might have to have that phone call being like, I messed up. So please don't do things out of fear. Do things from a sound place. Call your parents, call your friends, call people who are older than you that you feel comfortable around. And if you don't, there are counselors for that. There's your academic advisor. There are new friends that you make, and pray about it, journal about it. Just do not make decisions from a place of fear, because you might end up paying for that decision years beyond when you actually need it to make. You know what I mean? Like you would be paying for that decision big time. So don't make decisions out of fear, and do research when it comes to immigration, when it comes to finding a job, when it comes to getting a driver's license, renting an apartment. There are so many rules and regulations. If someone says, oh, that's not how it's done, make sure you go to someone else and verify that and ask someone else, but just understand your trajectory. And so the moment I got in, I was like, okay, I know I have 4 years, but it'll be good to know what I need to do, what I will need to do in 4 years. I don't need to do it now, and I don't need to always worry about it, even though I did worry about it. But I think what helped me was I felt organized, because I knew that within 4 years, you should have an internship ISI, because by the time you graduate, people are going to want to see that you've had some sort of work experience. And if you want a higher chance of getting hired after graduation, those are the only things that you can have under control, but also knowing that there's also many things that you can't control. And so let it be and enjoy your experience. These points are just a few things that I wish I knew. These are the biggest things that I wish I knew. I'm happy to go into detail about any of those, but this is just somewhere to start with. I have been through a lot of mistakes, and then I've also done some things really well that I'm proud of, and I'm happy I had that hindsight and I did it, because I felt like I was able to put myself in a better position to thrive and succeed in this now I call it my home. So in this new place, new environment. But I hope I shared something nice with you and you're able to understand what that looked like, navigating a new culture and a new world. I realized how stressful it is for a lot of people to navigate new life as a young adult in a new country. And so I have a club that I'm starting up. It's called the Big Sis Club. Once I have things ironed out and I have things a little more fleshed out, I'll maybe make a more series about this coming up, so that people have the chance to get one-on-one coaching from myself, none other than myself. And it's not going to be coaching like telling you what to do, but it'll be just having someone to bounce ideas off while you're navigating whatever experience you're going through. And I'll do it in cohorts. So it'll be a lot of one-on-one touch base, but I'll do it in cohorts so that you also have a group of friends to start this journey with. They may not necessarily be in your city or be in your country, but they will be accessible to you via whether it's a chat that I create or like group sessions. You would have people who are navigating a similar experience and you can bounce things off of and learn learn that you're not really alone, and you're not doing this alone. So TBD, look out for the space. It's gonna be called the Big Sis Club, and we'll figure out what all of that looks like. Otherwise, I really hope you enjoyed this. Leave some nuggets in the comments. What is something that, if you're moving out of home, whether it's to a different country or a different city, let me know what you're afraid of. What's been on your mind? What is something you're curious about, being like, kind of wonder what life's gonna be like in this aspect? Let me know. Put it in the comments. We'll see. Maybe I'll, that could give me some video ideas, and we can have a conversation about it and figure out next steps for you. But I really hope you enjoyed this. It's gonna be a great journey. If you're looking forward to it, it's gonna be great. You're gonna be fine. I know I said all these hard things, but I'm great. I'm doing well. I'm thriving. And you will too. So like always, like, comment, and please subscribe so that you can see what's popping on this page, on this channel. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.